Didn't want to do that, but hold on here. Oh, yes, it's working. Boom. Hope you guys are doing awesome. I'm a little worried my stream is not working here, but I'm going to start the record button here. All right, good morning, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. A lot of you are on Zoom right now, and we're streaming this to Facebook and YouTube. So if you can hear me or see me, please type in the chat box. All right. And so type in here, are you there? Say hi. So I am doing something here where I am in Zoom, but I'm streaming through Restream out to YouTube and Facebook. And so I can see your comments on Facebook and YouTube if you type them in there. So go ahead and type something. Let me turn my lights on so lighting is a little better. All right. And I'm here to answer your questions. So good. Everybody here is in Zoom. Awesome. Oh, hi, Dana. Nice. Dana is here. Dana, I'm going to bring you to a panelist, Dana, but you don't have to have your camera on if you don't want. If you guys have questions, I'm here to help answer any and all of your questions. Okay. And, also, I wanted to talk about some things that are working really, really well for us with land and some really cool things that we're doing with Freedomsoft that are crushing it. David got a question here. What's the direct mail piece that is working best for you currently on land? I was curious how that check mail piece worked. All right. So this week, as we speak, we are sending out 3,500 of those letters with the check in the middle. Let me show you what that looks like. Let me do that right now. Letter check. I'll share my screen. And then I'll also show you my normal letter that we send. Now, I am getting a special pricing, so I'm not going to tell you what my pricing is, but I use a company called REI Print Mail for this. Normally, I use Rocket Print for our letters, but in this case, we're doing REI Print Mail. And when you go there, just make sure you tell them you're with Joe McCall, and they'll give you special pricing. But this is it's a long story. I'll get into it. If you're a simple land flipping student, I'll be reporting more on this, on how this is doing for us. It's going to cost you on average about 80 to 85 cents per letter, maybe 90 cents. But this is the letter. And you notice letter reference ID at the top. And we are ready to turn this into a real live check for your 5.6 acre property near city and county state. Dear seller name, my name is Joe Blow with Joe Blow Land Investing. I'm writing to you because public records show that you own a 5.6 acre lot in your city and county. I'm very interested in purchasing this property. If you're consider selling your property, I can offer you a fast, trouble-free sale as well as a fair price and immediate cash. Okay. And it's got a picture of a check, and in that check will be the dollar amount that you're going to offer them. Now, if you're using priced, which I recommend, priced will give you a price. Okay. And good question, Jason. I'll answer that in a second. If you would like to receive cash or a check like this in exchange for your property, please call or text our 24-hour recorded voicemail. Now, some guys who send this letter will include a one-page contract and just ask them to send the contract back. I want them to call or text our 24-hour recorded voicemail with the letter reference ID. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And so that phone number, it's a Freedomsoft phone number, goes there, and the letter reference ID. They call that number. The voicemail simply says, "Hey, this is Joe with Dream Big Land. Thanks for calling. You must have received one of our letters. And if you would like an offer, please leave your name and number with the letter reference ID, and we'll send you an offer in a few days." Simple as that. Now, will it outperform the others? I don't know. Here's my normal letter that I've been sending for a long time, and it works really well for vacant land. This one. Same kind of text, but it's just doesn't have a check in it. So if you're watching this, you can pause it, take a screenshot. By the way, if you don't have my land course, go to vacantlanddocs.com, vacantlanddocs.com, and they'll give you these two documents for free. This is an actual picture I took of a deal I did with my son. We made $12,450 profit on this deal. And with my two sons, we generated over $150,000 in gross profits flipping vacant land. And there's a free 60-minute, 90-minute training that you can watch here. Okay. But if you want these documents, I'll send you the letter and the actual one-page contract that we use to do these deals. Okay. And you can have that for free. Again, vacantlanddocs.com, vacantlanddocs.com. If you're in Zoom with me, I'll put that in here for everybody. A lot of you guys are already my students in the land course, and you already have it. All right. I will let you know, guys, how this letter does really well. I mean, we average 2 to 3, maybe 4% response rate on this letter. This one, I'm trying it out. The company I use is reiprintmail.com for that letter. The reason why I'm using them is a couple. Number one, Rocket Print doesn't do that letter. They tried to make it for me, and it just didn't look good, and it was frustrating to get them to help me with that for whatever reason. Maybe I'm just not a big enough fish for them. So I said, screw it. I'm going to use REI Print Mail because they already have one. And it looks like this. Okay. You see that? That's where I got the idea from them on it. And they should be sending it out today. All right. Now somebody was asking, why aren't you just using Rocket Print? Now, if you go to joemccall.com/rocket, joemccall.com/rocket, and I'll put that in the Zoom chat, you get my special pricing from Rocket Print for vacant land. The one drawback that a lot of people have been complaining about is to get started, you need to prepay for 5,000 letters at 20 cents a piece. So you need to give them $1,000. But then after postage, you're only paying 55 cents a letter, which is a great bargain. But some people have really been kind of struggling with that, because that's a lot. I get it. It's a lot of money to pay in one big chunk. And if you're only sending 500 letters a week, you're kind of prepaying for 10 weeks of direct mail. REI Print Mail doesn't require that. REI Print Mail you're going to pay a little bit more than 55 cents, but you can send 500 or 1,000 at a time if you want, right? But then also, this is bulk rate mail. It's not first class mail. And I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the bulk rate. I'd rather, you can pay Rocket Print to do first class. You just pay a little extra. But I just don't like first class, or I don't like bulk rate mail because it takes way too long. Sorry, I'm taking my sweater off. It takes way too long and it's unreliable. And the response rates are going to be higher on first class mail by a little bit. So I think it's worth the extra money to do first class. Makes sense? So my guy at REI Print Mail that you should talk to, his name is Ryan. Ryan.reiprintmail.com. Ryan, I'll put that in the Zoom chat as well. Ryan.reiprintmail.com. You can schedule a free 15, 30-minute, 60-minute call from him, and he will help you get you hooked up with our mail piece. And He's a good guy. And their office is actually 5-10 minutes from my house. I've used them for years. The other company that they are part of, it's called Graphic Connections. I've been using them for years for houses. And we've done millions of letters for our deals and for coaching students. So anyway, ryan.reiprintmail.com. And if you want to check out Rocket Print, go to joemccall.com/rocket. And if you want the letter that I use and our one-page contract for free, go to vacantlanddocs.com, vacantlanddocs.com. I'll hook you up. Let's see if there's any other questions. Yes, that letter, David, that check letter with the check is in the course. It's in the Google Drive folder for the course. And I am doing, yes, Jason, I'm doing a split test on it right now. I think I answered your question, Jason, didn't I, about why I'm using them? How do you feel about the land business as we slide deeper into the recession? Great question. I am actually very excited about vacant land, even in the recession, because when the economy slows down, a lot of people start buying vacant land for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's a place to get off the grid. If the economy gets really, really bad, they have a place where they can go and live, and nobody knows where they are. They can get off the grid. They can live off the land. It's also a great way to sell cheap land. People want to go camping. I mean, they can't go to Disneyland anymore, so let's go camping instead. And they will, they'll buy land they can go hunting on. And because we sell our land so cheap and we sell it with owner financing, it's a great way to get cash flow. So during a recession, a lot more people are willing to do financing and stuff like that. So when as a typical deal, as a lot of you know, is let's say it's worth 10 grand. We'll buy it for 2,500 and we'll sell it for 10 grand with owner financing. And we'll get $200 a month in passive income from that for 5 years. So where else can you put in $2,500? And after down payment, you're really only out of pocket for maybe $1,000. Where else can you buy something, an asset for $1,000 that gives you $200 a month? So what's your cash on cash return on that? It's a couple 100%. You want to be at least at 100% cash on cash return. And you cannot do that with residential real estate. Let me repeat, you cannot get 100% cash on cash return with residential real estate. Maybe you could say, well, I can get an infinite return because I cash out refinance. Well, how is the cash out refinance working for you in the last 6 months, where rates have gone from 4% to 7 or 8%, depending on where you're at, 3% to 7%? Like, how is that cash out refinance working for you now? Are you still cash flowing? Is there real cash flow? What about all of the money you have to set aside for vacancies and maintenance and repairs and to repair the roof, replace the water heater when the tenant trashes your property and leaves? Now you've got 2 months of vacancy while you spend 10 grand to clean the house up and fix it up. Where'd your cash flow go? So that's why I really, really love vacant land. Now, in the past 5 years or 4 years since we've been doing land, we've pretty much wholesaled everything, like sell it for quick cash. But we've been doing more owner financing lately. And within the last 3-4 months, we're already at about $2,500 a month in cash flow. Not really, you're still selling some of them straight up, but. All right. Oh, thank you. Dana's reminded me that we have questions people submitted in advance. All right. Let me go through them right now. Linny, can you recommend a national mortgage broker who understands lease options? And specifically, how do you apply the option fee to the down payment when executing your lease option? Jesse Mills does it, but he's a little pricey. Jesse Mills is a good guy. I like Jesse a lot. Okay, so national mortgage broker who does lease options. I don't know of one. I wish I did, but I don't recommend national mortgage brokers anyway, except Jesse. If he still does, I don't even know if he wants to. But I really recommend you find a local mortgage broker, a good local mortgage broker that can do all of your deals. Because here's the deal. You want to get a, hang on, trying to fix this mic stand, and I will probably fix it again in 30 minutes. Is that better? Is that all right? See, I told you it's too high. You want a local mortgage broker that your tenant buyer can go sit down in their office and get one-on-one personal help. You want a local mortgage broker that understands the good programs for your tenant buyers to get. And so what I do if I were you is I'd talk to a bunch of mortgage brokers and ask them, hey, do you know any good, sorry, I'm trying to change my background. Forget it. I'm not going to worry about it. Ask a local realtor. Do you know of any good mortgage brokers that help people with challenged credit get mortgages? And then they'll tell you, yeah, here's some that I work with. You talk to that mortgage broker and you say, hey, listen, I'm an investor. I do a lot of lease options. Do you help people with, rough credit to get their credit fixed? And how does that work? How does your program work? And so you want to find tenant buyers that have a realistic chance of getting a mortgage in 6 to 12 months. Okay. So you tell the mortgage broker, I work with people. I try to find people that have a realistic chance of getting a mortgage in 6 to 12 months. And, would you be willing to work with them? If they say yes, there you go. Boom. And then you tell them, listen, I'm doing lease options and I want to make sure that they can, if we can, I know I can't promise it or guarantee it, but I want to try to let them use their lease option deposit consideration money, whatever you want to call it. I want to try to get them that money back as part of their future down payment. Okay. So how do we do that? You just ask them. And you just ask enough until you find one that says, oh, yeah, it's not a problem. We can do it like this. We can do it like that. Okay. Next question. Lenny, I used to use your recommended attorney, Angelo Russo, to handle the paperwork and the escrow. Is there someone now you recommend for that purpose? No. Angelo Russo used to do it. He doesn't anymore. He just got tired of doing it and he wanted to do something else. Probably got tired of the hassles. So I think he ran for local public office. By the way, did you guys vote yesterday? Did you? And are we getting questions in the chat? Nice. Hi, Cynthia. And hi, Jwix, Steve Hall, Dwayne. Nice. How you doing, guys? Listen, if you're watching me right now on Facebook or YouTube, say something in the chat. Say hi. And say, let me know that you're here. And if you've got questions, let me know. And my good friend Sam texted me and says, I'm 90% sure Jesse no longer does mortgages. I think you're right. Okay. Back to the questions. Sorry, I'm distracted. Okay, Coy. Hey, glad you're here. Thanks for commenting. Coy is watching me right now on YouTube. What's up? If you guys listen, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, type in your questions right now. Hi, Chris. I can't pronounce your last name, but I'm glad you're here. Hiya, back to you. Dana, I didn't know if you knew this, but I'm seeing the chat through Restream on the Restream website, which is so cool because even though I'm on Zoom right now. Good. Brad voted yesterday. Come on, Brad. Nice. Good for you. Yes, it is cool. All right. Next question from Steve. I asked this question several times and even a few days ago, but I did not get an answer yet. Steve, I'm sorry. My question is about sandwich lease options. How do you close the B to C side? You don't own the property. How does the C buyer get a loan thinking that they will buy it from you? Please explain in detail how you close with your lease option tenant buyer. Thanks to you. Very good question. And to give it some context, so you understand what he's asking about, because it's a great question. In a lease option, there's the seller, the A, and that's my left. You're right, whatever you're seeing here. The seller is the A. I'm B, the investor in the middle. And then there's C, the tenant buyer. I have a contract to buy it from the seller. Let's just use simple numbers. I have a contract. The house is worth $100,000. I have a contract to buy it from that seller for $80,000, $85,000. Okay. I usually try to get at least 15% equity in the deal, 10 to 15% equity. And I want to make sure I cash flows at least a few $100 a month, or about 25% of the rent. Okay. So let's say the rent is $1,000 a month. I'm going to pay the seller $750 a month. Make sense? 25% of the rent I want to keep for myself as cash flow. So it's worth $100. I have a contract to buy it on the A to B for $85,000, and I'm going to rent it from that seller for $750 a month. Write these numbers down. And how much am I paying the seller? Usually 1 month's rent or nothing. Now I'm going to enter into a contract with the tenant buyer to sell it to them on a lease option. So this is why it's called a sandwich lease option, because I'm in the middle. I have an A to B contract, and now I have a B to C contract. Okay. I have a contract to sell it to that tenant buyer for $110,000, and the market rent's $1,000. So I'm going to charge him $1,000 a month, and I get about 3% down from him. So I'm going to get about $3,000 down from that tenant buyer, and I'm going to pay the seller $1,000. So my cash up front, remember in a sandwich lease option, there's 3 profit centers: cash now, cash flow, cash later. Cash now, cash flow, cash later. So I'm paying the seller $1,000, and I'm collecting $3,000 from the tenant buyer. So what's my cash now? $2,000, right? Now I will have to refund that to the tenant buyer if and when they buy the house. I also get a credit for the $1,000 if and when I buy the house from the seller. So I'm paying $750 a month, and usually that goes to the mortgage company, and I'm collecting $1,000. So what's my cash flow? $250 a month. For 3 years, let's say, that's pretty significant. That's going to be, well, let's look. Let me get my fancy calculator. 250 times 36. That's about $9,000 in cash flow over 3 years. Not bad. It's better than a poke in the eye with a stick. Now, what's my cash later? It's the difference between what I'm selling it for and what I'm buying it for. So I'm buying it for 85 and I'm selling it for 110. So that's 25 grand. All right. So I'm going to make a gross profit on this $100,000 house that I'm buying at a very fair price, and I'm taking care of all the maintenance and repairs. I'm going to make a gross profit of $34,000 on that thing. And how much out of money pocket did I have? 0. All right. That's if it all works perfectly. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but that's kind of the numbers, right? You understand? The A to B, the B to C. Now, how do you sell it when you don't own it? Great question. Glad you asked. There's several different ways you can do it. Number one, the easiest way is when that tenant buyer is ready to buy it, I exercise my option with the seller. I buy it, and I immediately turn around and I sell it. That's the easiest way to do it. Right? Now, you might need to use transactional funding, hard money, private money, or something, but you'll have to close on it and then immediately turn around and sell it. Okay. That's called a double close. You close it you buy it on the A to B and you sell it on the B to C same day. That's called a double close. There's other ways to do it as well. What was my back end profit on that? 25 grand, right? Was my back end profit on that thing? 25 grand. Well, there's other ways you can do it. And here's the thing that's really important. You need to find a title company that will help you with these kinds of deals. And you need to ask them, what's the best way to do this? What's the best way? I have it under contract for 85. I'm going to sell it for 110. It's just like you're wholesaling. It's just like you're wholesaling a deal. They may say, and this is something that I've done before, they say, well, you should buy it subject to. So you now are the deed. You're on the deed, and then you sell it. So, and if there is if again, your title company needs to tell you this, but let's say you are the buyer's buying it with FHA financing. There's a 90-day seasoning rule. I don't even know if that still is around or not, but if there's some kind of seasoning rule, you take it subject to for 90 days to cover that seasoning rule. You could do that. The other thing is I've had title companies say, listen, we'll just record a memorandum of option or some kind of instrument It could be an affidavit of interest. It could be a memorandum of option. You just have to ask the title company, what do you recommend? And find a title company that will say, let's do it this way. So you'll file something, and then when it comes time to close, it becomes now you might need to create a new contract between the tenant buyer and the seller. And you get paid in the middle through some kind of lien, satisfaction of lien, revocation of option. I've heard it called that before, where there's an option, there's something recorded on the property on the HUD to remove that. It's just like a loan. If there was a $25,000 loan on that property or a lien on that property, it has to get paid and settled and paid off at closing. So you get paid through that way. I've had title companies say, just send us an invoice for whatever your profit is. And so I send an invoice to the title company made out to the seller. And so that just gets paid that way. There's different ways you can do it. It could be an assignment fee. It could be double close. It could be you take it over subject to. It could just be you record a mortgage against the property and you create a new contract between the tenant buyer and the seller. Whatever is the easiest. So tell the title company you want a creative title company that works with investors, that does wholesaling. Maybe you do novation. I don't even understand novations, but they're powerful. You do some kind of novation strategy. Find a title company that works with creative real estate investors and ask them what's the best way to do that. Good. Did you guys vote yesterday? So a lot of you are just now coming on. You did, right? Awesome. I'm looking for, there it is. Awesome. Coy just said, I just finished your podcast with the VAs. Are VAs practical to price your blind offers in non-disclosure states? Also, could you tell us what tasks you assign to VAs versus keeping to yourself? What tasks do you assign to a VA? All right. Coy, there's really only 3 things I think your VA should do in any kind of real estate business that you're doing. Houses, vacant land. Number 1, they should be doing your marketing. They should be sending out your marketing, managing your marketing, making sure it's getting done every day, every week. You're sending texts, emails, letters, whatever it is, right? Your VA should be managing the marketing and tracking your KPIs, giving you reports, making sure it gets done. The second thing they need to be doing is they need to be updating your CRM. They need to be the CRM expert, updating the CRM with notes, with updates, with tasks, with status changes. Number 3, they should be doing all your follow-up. They should be doing all your follow-up. They should be sending that email, the text, the voicemail, the letters. They should be doing all of that for you. And everything in your CRM, every single lead needs to have an open task assigned to somebody with a due date in the future. You can't just status that lead as follow-up. No, you need to create a task to send a letter in 30 days, to send a text message in 2 weeks, to send a voicemail in 3 weeks or whatever. Every single lead in your entire database needs to have an open task. That means it's not complete yet, assigned to a VA with a due date in the future. Every day, the first thing your VA does is go through all of their tasks and completes the task, does the follow-up, and then creates another task 30 days later. That's what your VA should be doing. All right. Then, should they be pricing your offers? I don't know. I like doing that. What I have the VAs do for my vacant land deals is when a voicemail comes in, they put all the information into Freedomsoft so I can look at it. All right. Then I look at it and I'm the one who then makes the decision to what to offer. So they'll tell me what price says to offer. They'll give me a link to go look at the property in Zillow. So I can just click that link and it puts that property in the center of the map. It shows me all the other properties around it. And then, so that's helpful. Then I can just click some buttons, come up with a number that I want to offer. And I'll put those numbers in, and I use click to mail, email to mail. I could send the offer in, or I could just put the number that I want to offer and then send a task to the VA for them to send the offer. They send the offer, they update the status, they send the text, they schedule all the follow-up. All right. Question from Chris on YouTube. What's up, Chris? Do you have any insights on the new Freedomsoft SMS requirements? I've upgraded my account as required, but my SMS functionality was suspended for a period because the opt-out percentage exceeded 10%. All right. I do not recommend using Freedomsoft for mass text broadcasting. Freedomsoft does not like you doing that because it hurts their deliverability, their phone reputation, and it's Rob Swanson, the guy who owns Freedomsoft, absolutely despises mass texting and won't let his users do it because it's illegal, it's immoral, and it's fattening. It'll make you fat. I'm just kidding. So, it's a big debate right now in the real estate space. Most of the people that are in the software world do not recommend doing it because they've studied the law and it's very dangerous. You can get into big trouble and have huge fines if you do it wrong. There are some companies that will let you do it. They claim to have the right way to do it. So if you trust them and you want to do it with them, go ahead. That makes sense? So you can do follow-up for people that have contacted you already. That's fine. We do lots of text follow-up with people who call us, leave a voicemail, and we text them back. The carriers, they like that, right? Because they see, oh, my customer Jim called that number, left a voicemail, and then they texted them back from that number. It must be a valid number. That's good. It's all nice and lovely. Everybody's happy. That's okay. Also, FreedomSoft has recently implemented some things where you have to register your phone number, and that's not their requirement. It's from the government. It's from the cell phone agencies. They're requiring all businesses to register their phone numbers. In FreedomSoft, that can't be free. They have to charge for that. It's a very labor intensive thing that they service, whatever they do with that. So it stinks, but you have to pay the $40 or whatever one time, and then maybe an extra $10 a month for all your phone numbers. It's just kind of the cost of doing business. A lot of people are complaining about it, but you just have to do it. All-nighter hider. With affordability and lending so low, LODs are the way to go. What are LODs? Hopefully it's not some kind of drug. Sounds like a drug. Carl, unfortunately, it's taken a couple of days for the FreedomSoft numbers to get cleared from showing up as a spam call. Yeah, it's not a FreedomSoft problem. I mean, it's not FreedomSoft's fault. This is happening to everybody who uses virtual phone numbers, whether it's Ring Central, Vumber. So that's why I like, again, people calling me. When they call me and I'm calling them back, it normally 9 times out of 10 doesn't show up as spam. Sometimes it does, but yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It just is. But I'm so glad to see you guys on YouTube commenting on this. My big goal, lease option deals. LOD stands for lease option deals. Yes, lease. If you're doing houses, now is the time to learn how to do creative financing deals. Lease options, subject to owner financing. Yes. All right, back to the questions that were being submitted in Zoom. Speaking of lease options, yes. Thank you, David. I already answered that. What? Oh, this is a different question, but kind of relates. All right. Speaking of lease options, would you agree with me that this is a great time for lease options, given that the rates are higher, prices are going down, but everything's looking to rebound in the next couple of years? Yeah, I've always been a fan of lease options, but especially as we transition out of a seller's market into a buyer's market, lease options become much easier, more profitable to do. David, what's the title company that I believe Pace owns that does nationwide deals, closings for creative deals? I believe it's Constant Close. Let me look here. ConstantClose.com. Yes. I'll share my screen. Well, sorry. Here it is. I thought I had it. ConstantClose.com. I'm 99% sure this is the company that Pace owns. I'm going to put that in the Zoom chat. constantclose.com. There's another company I recommend, closelikejoe.com. Closelikejoe.com. That'll redirect you, I think, to easy REI closings. And I do get a commission out of that. But what these guys are is a transaction coordination company, and they will do your deals nationwide. And they do a lot of transactions for wholesalers, and they do a lot of novations and subject twos and creative stuff. So check them out, easyreiclosings.com, or you go to closelikejoe.com. They'll help you find the sellers, do your title searches, negotiate with families, helps with deceased sellers. They do all that stuff, and then we'll help you do the assignments, the double close, the novations, the subject twos. You do pay an annual fee. It's not 40 grand. Okay. So check out that, closelikejoe.com. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to show you something cool. Darren, so for land deals, I recommend Clothesline. They're the nationwide title company we use for vacant land deals. Now, I just had a student complain about them. They're not for everybody, but we use them for all our deals. We've had good success with them. This is why it's hard for me to recommend people, because somebody may have a good experience with them. Somebody may have a bad experience with them. By the way, if you want some help with creating an LLC coming to the end of the year, you want some help with tax planning, I really highly recommend my friends at Prime Corporate Services. If you go to joemccall.com/LLC, joemccall.com/LLC, you can schedule a call with them. They'll help you set up your entities, LLCs. Really important if you need some help with that. joemccall.com/LLC. And I don't know, is the link working right now? It seems like it's taking me a long time to get there. Yes, it's working. Just be patient with that. All right. Any other questions? No. All right. So I'm going to show you guys something cool here. Well, let me look in one other place for questions. This is from W.E. Smith on YouTube. Is it a good idea to have sellers who need to sell to have the deed transferred in a land trust and do a lease option on the house? All right, land trusts. I used to do a lot of those when I was doing subject twos. So land trusts are amazing. They're awesome if you know how to use them. I don't know how to do land trusts, and I've not done a subject two in a very long time. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years. That is a long time. When I do lease options, I don't put them in a land trust. You know, you should, but I don't. It's not a bad idea. But I'm not the guy to talk to about the land trusts. All right, you want to see something cool with Freedomsoft? Some things that they're doing now? I'm super excited about this. And I'm going to be talking about houses here, because a lot of people on this call are interested in houses. Freedomsoft is really, if you're doing houses, it's really a one-stop shop. You don't need anything else. Somebody give me a market in the Zoom chat or in Facebook, YouTube. All right, closelikejoe.com, Shelly, does work, but you got to. Okay, so Dana fixed my link and put it in there. Sorry about that. What county is Chicago? Cook County. All right, so let's go here to Zip Finder. Can you do wholesaling in Illinois? Wait a minute. Thank you, David. The answer is yes. You certainly can. What title company for land? Clothesline. Clothesline. You just need a license. Or, David, can't you just buy the deal and then turn around and sell it? Do you have to have a license to buy a property for sale by owner, buy it by owner, and sell it for sale by owner? No. It's just harder to do it, but you can. In fact, Illinois is a great market to do wholesaling in because everybody thinks it's illegal. It's illegal, it's immoral, and it's fattening. So you don't have much competition. Okay. But let's just look in Illinois. Let's say, okay, fine, you have to have a license. Well, then get a license. Not a big deal. But you just buy the property. Just buy it and then sell it. You can do that with transactional funding, hard money, get a bunch of business credit cards. If you do it right, don't be stupid. All right, so I'm looking here at Cook County. Let's see what's been going on in the last 90 days in Cook County. Now, Chicago is very competitive, right? So typically, I like to do wholesale deals for houses in the smaller markets. I like going outside of the bigger cities, going into the smaller markets. Let's just look at Cook County here, and hopefully this works. Obviously, a lot of transactions and activity, but what this tool with Freedomsoft, it's called Zip Finder. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me all of the investor transactions that happened in Cook County in the last 90 days. And it's going to tell me where all of the investor activity is, where all of the hot investor activity is. And because there's so many transactions and there's so many zip codes, look at all these zip codes. It's taking its time here. You just got to have a little patience with it. Again, these are the zip codes where most of the investors, not retail buyers, not owner occupants, but investor buyers are buying. So the idea is, if you're going to be doing marketing, wouldn't you rather be fishing in the pond where all the fish are? Why would you want to be trying to do wholesale deals in Naperville? I don't even know if that's Cook County, but why would you want to be doing wholesale deals in Naperville when there's no buyers, no investor buyers out there right now? So the thing is, it's always easier to sell people what they want rather than what you have. Write that down. It's always easier to sell buyers what they want you have. So look, 60628 is the top zip code. Let's just look to see what that looks like in Zillow right now. Let's go to Redfin. I like Redfin better. What was the zip code? 60628. 60628. Well, one of the things about Zillow that's actually better is you can get better rentals. Okay, good question, Jason. He's saying, but isn't that contrary to, well, if it's a deal, the buyers will be there? Yes, that's still true, right? But wouldn't you rather, if you've got a good deal, there's always going to be a buyer for it, right? But wouldn't you rather go to where the buyers already are? It's just going to be faster and easier. Tomato, tomato, right? All right, let's look at just houses. Let's look at, I'm just removing any previous filters that I had in here. All right, so let's look at Redfin here. There's 345 homes for sale. So this is a lot. It's a lot higher than it used to be, I can tell you that. And look at the pricing. This is more affordable. Let's just see where this kind of is. I don't know if this is the hood. This is South Chicago. I heard South Chicago is pretty bad. Maybe this is like the nicer area. But a lot of investors, you know what? That might be a totally ignorant, arrogant thing to say. It's probably a great area. But who cares what I think anyway? Who cares if I think this is a bad area? I'm not going to live there. But this is where investors are buying properties right now, and they're buying a lot of them. So who cares what I think? It's all about data, not drama. Write that down. Data, not drama. Let's look at how many have sold here. So right now there are 345. Now, okay, Joe, but the market has been slowing down. We're in a recession now. Who's buying? Somebody says here, and I'm not going to say who, that's one of the worst areas of Chicago. Maybe, but who cares? Investors are buying deals here. Let's look. Sold last 3 months. 184 solds, even in a down, interest rates are high, Inflation is high. People are freaking out. I mean, gas prices have come down, but still in the last 3 months, there's been 184 properties that have sold here. If we sort this table by price, they're selling for $26,000, $28,000, $30,000, $40,000. Like, who would buy that house? I don't know, but somebody did. That's all I care about. Who would buy this one? I don't know, but somebody did. That's all I care about. I want to know who these people are. Who bought these properties? And do they want more? All right, well, I'm going to go find them some more. Make sense? Now, for me, probably, I wouldn't want to own a rental property there. But there's a lot of people that would. Well, who are these people, right? Well, let's just pick that one zip code right there. I'm just going to pick the top zip code. Normally, I'd pick like the top 6 or 7 zip codes, right? I'm going to click that top zip code, and I'm going to click Find Buyers. And what it's doing now is it's going to give me all the active buyers that are buying in that zip code. I'm going to add, there's 245 of them. I'm going to add them to a lead list. And I'm going to call this new lead list, I'm just going to call it Demo 60628 buyers, recent buyers. Okay. What Freedomsoft just did is they're putting in all of those buyers into this list. It's importing it in here, and I'll look at it in just a second. So there's a lot of sold activity there, even though there are a lot of for sales. Let's look at something here. Let's look at houses that have been on Redfin for longer than 90 days. Let's do longer than 60 days. There's 92 homes here that have been on the market over 60 days. This one has been on the market for 159 days and it hasn't sold yet. Why? Well, they're asking too much for it. They're asking $36,900 for it. So why wouldn't anybody buy this? Would you buy this? Probably not. Because it needs a lot of work. This is going to be a very expensive rehab. All right, so let me talk to you about something about this here. Investor special, of course it is. Sold as is, really? Okay, Donald Robinson. Let's call him up. Hey, Donald, how you doing? Joe McCall. Good. Hey, I'm calling about your property there on 10612 South State Street. Good, yeah. Is it still available? Okay, good. Hey, I'm an investor from out of town looking to buy some property out there. And I was just wondering if you had a few minutes, I could ask you some questions and to see if this would be something I'd be interested in, because I'd like to make an offer on it, maybe. Okay, cool. What's the neighborhood like? By the way, I kind of know it's not the best area. You know, just go into Street View here. This is what my conversation would be with the realtor. Oh man, looks like there's some overgrown houses next door. Can you tell me? And they're boarded up. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What's going on? Who owns these properties there? What do properties rent for here? All right. So how much would it cost to fix this house up, do you think? It looks like a nice street. Yeah. And I see there's somebody just redid a house next door. It looks pretty nice. So what do you think it would cost to fix this house up to make it rent ready? Okay. All right. So they might say, I don't know, 20, 30 grand. I say, well, what do you think it would rent for? All I'm doing, guys, is just asking questions. And then while I'm on the phone here, I'm going to say, well, they're asking $36,900. Do you feel like that's a fair price? Shut up and listen. Do you feel like that's a fair price for this area, for this crazy market? Well, I don't know. Well, how flexible is the seller on their price? Or the other thing I might say is, well, why don't they just, if it's such a great deal, why don't they just fix it up and rent it out themselves? By the way, you want to see who, let's look this property up real quick. And you can do this in Freedomsoft too, by the way. Let me just open a new window of Freedomsoft. If you type in the address, not every time, but most of the time, it comes up here and you can look at it. What does that mean? It's a zombie property. Owner occupied zombie property. Oh, look at this. Last sale date was 1900, which means Willie has owned it for a long time before they actually started keeping track of the sale dates in county records. And it's not an absentee owner yet because the mailing address is the same as the property address. It's not an absentee owner. Somebody's lived there. All right. So I'm talking to the realtor and I'm asking them questions about why it hasn't sold yet. How are they negotiable on their price? Okay. Why don't they just fix it up and sell it on their own or rent it out on their own? So then what I do is I want to find out, okay, well, is this a fair price, 36.9, kind of what's selling in the area? So what you do is I click on this map here with Redfin. You can do the same thing in Zillow. I just like Redfin a little better. Click map nearby homes for sale. These are actives in that area. I'm going to sort this by price. And I'm going to ask the seller, all right, so they're asking 36.9, right? I see there's another property nearby currently for sale for 24,500. Another one for sale right now for 32,000. I'm sure your property is better, but what's going on there? Why would I want to buy yours for 36.9 when I can buy this other one for 24.5? See what they say. Then you can right here switch to sold. And I go last 6 months. I'm going to sort this from price, from low to high. All right. So normally, this is interesting, isn't it? Normally, you're going to see a lot of properties here that were marked a lot lower because they're asking right now already 36.9. They're asking about as cheap as it is, as cheap as some of the most recent solds are. So normally I would say I'm looking here and I can see some other properties that have sold for less than yours. But now I'm looking at this and saying, well, okay, one of the things I might do is I might say, all right, I see a property here that sold for about the same price, but needs very little work. The other thing I'm thinking about is what price would I need to sell this for to make it attractive to another investor? So I'm looking at for sale. If this thing won't sell for 36.9, I'm going to probably need to sell it for 25 grand. All right. Which means I'm going to need to buy it for 15. I want to make at least a $10,000 wholesale fee. Right. So I'm going to, because I'm just thinking, all right, if I'm going to sell this, I'm probably going to need to sell it for 25 grand. So I might say to the seller, to the realtor, listen, I don't want to waste your time. You know, if I'm going to need to buy this thing, I'm going to need to be at about like 10 or 15 grand. That's probably not going to work, is it? And shut up, listen to them, see what they say. Then I might say, if they say, no, there's no way. Oh, by the way, rewind a little bit. I'm also going to tell that realtor, listen, I don't have any agents representing me. So if you can bring me a good deal that I can buy, you can represent me and get both sides of the commission, or, you know, I want to let them know that they can represent me and get commissions from deals they bring me. Then the final thing I might say to this realtor is, listen, if they can't, if I can get them something close to their price, would they consider some kind of seller financing? And so maybe I will offer them something close to this, maybe 30 grand with zero down and a couple $100 a month until paid. I mean, let's just look at a calculator here. If I offer them $30,000, and I want to pay it off in 15 years, that'll be $167 a month. So I'll offer them $167 a month. Well, guess what I can do with that deal? If they say yes, I'll do a 5-year balloon, okay, 10-year balloon or something. I can turn around and wholesale that deal to another investor buyer who will then take over the financing, fix it up, rent it out. Well, how did I get onto that? Well, I was just talking about in Freedomsoft, you look for the top zip codes here, okay? And here are the buyers. I put them into a list. Boom, here they are. There's been 225 transactions in here. I'm going to click on this little advanced filter here. I'm going to select purchase properties. I want to know who are the buyers that are buying out here. And they've purchased more than 2 deals on or after They've purchased, let's go 4 months. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Since July 1, they've purchased more than 2 properties. There's a bunch of them. All right. They've purchased more than 4 properties. There's still a bunch of them. They purchased more than 7. There's still a bunch. 10. 16. All right. Here's 16 investors that in the last 3 or 4 months, whatever I said, 4 months, have purchased more than 10 properties. And I can add a column here, I believe. There was a thought there was a column titled number of properties owned. Maybe I'm missing it. Never mind. All right, so let's just look at one of these. Grandview Capital, LLC. They own 26 properties, kind of all over, right? You can see what it is they're buying. Let's go back. Oh, shoot. I lost my filter. Purchased properties greater than or equals to 10 properties on or after 1, 2, 3. Let's do 3 months. Here's all the there's 16 buyers that have bought over 10 properties in the last 3 months. You can also do another one. How about this? They own more than 10 properties. There's still 16. All right. Anyway, obviously some Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are going to be in here. You can ignore those. Let's look at old line 22. They own 18 properties. They're in Springfield, Illinois. You can see what it is they're buying. All right. So now the point I want to show you is now we have these 225 buyers. One of the first things you should do is skip trace them. Right here, I can skip trace them. Even though some of them are in LLCs, some of them are not LLCs. Rios is here. Omega Stockdale, whatever. You can skip trace them and call them and say, hey, I see you bought some property recently, like this guy, Rios. Just brought a property here recently. And Rios Juan, he's in this area. Say, hey, I see you just bought an investment property out here. Are you looking for more deals? You want to find out, talk to them what it is that they're buying. You can skip trace them. And then you can also send them a letter. If I wanted to, royalty management here. I could send them a letter, generate document. I have a letter in here called professional cash buyer letter. Next step. Next step. To them, my name is Joe, and I'm the owner of this company. We are the premier real estate investing company in the, well, you would change this to Chicago market. You would change that in the letter template. I understand that you just purchased a property in the area. Based on this, it appears that you're a real estate investor. And assuming that you're looking to continue to invest, we are ready to help you. Obviously, you know that now is a great time to invest in real estate, and I think that we could be very beneficial to you as you continue to grow your business. If you'd like more information on myself, my company, or would like to see a list of our current investment properties in Chicago, whatever, please feel free to contact me, and this is your phone number. You can create this letter, and then you can send it to that buyer right here through click to mail, email to mail. So I could skip trace them, call them, and I could send them letters. Once I have a property under contract, I have another letter that I like to send. And this letter works really, really, really well. Urgent cash buyer letter. Let's do this one here. This is a property, let's say we have on Oakland Avenue. Property full contact. Yeah, that's not going to work. Sorry, let me do this other letter here. Urgent cash buyer letter. Next step. Custom very. The property address is 123 Main Street, Des Moines, Iowa. Phone number to call. All right, so this is a letter I'd send to Royalty Management, Inc. I desperately need to sell my property address. I've been trying to sell it for some time now, and I can't wait any longer. Take a drive-by, call me. I'll let you in. Taxes are paid. Title is good, and I need this thing sold today. Call me, please. Make me a cash offer right now at phone number. Thank you, Joe. You can delete your name there if that looks weird. Complete. That letter works really, really well. So you could send that letter to those recent buyers who bought properties nearby. Okay. All right. Now, I got a few more things I want to show you. Now we know who the buyers are. We could send them a letter. We can skip trace. We can call them, say, hey, are you looking for more deals here? What are you looking for? If I find a deal, can I call you with it? All right. Now that you know the buyers, you click that zip code again, you click find sellers. And you can look for tired landlords, high equity, distant landlords, vacant. I like to do high equity. And just like that, I have 234 high equity people that own. Now, what's the criteria in here? Let's do advanced search. These are people where the property, we're just going to say no preference to vacant. High equity, yes. Absentee owner, high equity, yes. I don't care if it's individual or corporate owned. But we could exclude, let's exclude corporate owned. But high equity, yes. So they bought it over 15 years ago. Single family. Before, the search only gave me vacant properties. Now it's giving me all the high equity individual owners who have owned it for over 10 years. There's 1,700 of them. These are non-LLCs, right? They've owned it. Non-LLCs, absentee owners who've owned their properties over 15 years that have high equity. I could take all of these here. I could add them to a lead list. I could skip trace them, start calling them, and yeah, do some really cool things. Like this guy here, absentee owner, Wabash. The last sale date was 1900, which means they didn't track it. They've owned it for so long. You look at a map view, satellite view, street view. Oh, this must be the alley street view. Anyway, Robert Parker doesn't live there. He's owned this house for a very, very long time. And we call him, get him a letter. How about this house here? Absentee owner. All right. So just like that, with inside of Freedomsoft, you can find the top zip codes, find the buyers, find the sellers, make a bunch of offers, and do deals. If I had to do a house deal and wholesale a deal, if I had to make $5,000, if you kidnapped me from my family, said you can't go back home to see your family until you wholesaled a deal in Park County, Colorado, I just showed you exactly what I would do. Go into Freedomsoft, find the buyers are in the top 2 or 3 zip codes. And then I'd pull all the sellers that have high equity, absentee, non-LLCs who've owned their properties over 15 years. And I would just get on the phone and I'd call every single one of them. And I'd make an offer on every single one of them. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's just see here if there are any other questions. Nick, with Freedomsoft, you cannot get lists of buyers for land in Freedomsoft. You would do that in Priced or List Source. Any other questions on the YouTubes? Trusts, structures can save your bacon and is an incredible skill to know how to write them up. I totally agree. The Art of Passing the Buck is a great trust book. Thank you, All Nighter Hider. Does Pace Morby's title company charge up front? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. If they do, pay it because they're very, very good at what they do. Can you show us how to export and import from Freedomsoft into a CRM? Yes, real quick. I'll show that and then we got to go. So let's say I've got my list. I just created this list, right, of recent buyers. There's 225. So I'm going to click View All. And I go right here to More Actions, Export. I can export them into a spreadsheet. Also, if I have this list called Demo, I can import a list right here as well. Is there a replay of this? Yeah, so there is a replay of this, I think on my Facebook profile. I think I'm streaming this right now. If you go to the Facebook, go to my amazing, awesome, incredible, so inspiring and amazing personal profile page, my personal profile page. There it is. You can see me right there. What's up, guys? And yeah, you can watch the replay there. And I have it in some other Facebook groups. It's in some of my membership sites, but we're good. It's all good in the hood. Appreciate you guys. Got to go. Take care. Comb your hair. And go hug your spouse and your kids. Tell them you love them.